What Fun is certainly a watchable film. There are some aspects that I thought were very well done, but for the most part, I don't think the narrative was very well handled at all. This was released this year in 2025. It's directed by Michael Showalter, written by Showalter and Chandler Baker, and we have a cast including Michelle Pfeiffer, Denis Leary, Felicity Jones, Chloë Grace Moretz, Jason Schwartzman, and various others. And the story sounded like it could have been interesting, but the pacing is a huge issue. Claire's family forgot her when they went to some Christmas activities. Basically, they thought she was going to catch them up. They thought she would just follow behind in her car and she'd meet them there. But she was not part of that conversation. So she just kind of thinks they've been abandoned when she goes back to the house and realises it's empty. There's nobody there. And it took 44 minutes to get to that scene. And I wish I was joking. Leading up to that, we're getting to know the characters, we're getting to know the family dynamics. Yes, all of that's important, but not for 44 minutes. I noted down the time because it was ridiculous. I was genuinely thinking, did I read the brief description incorrectly? But I obviously hadn't. This is what the film is about, because ultimately what happens after that is she goes, right, well, my family's left me. I'll go off and do my own thing. And it's about the adventure that she has going off to do her own Christmas activities and the people she meets, and honestly most of that is really boring. There's nothing wrong with what happens after that. There's about an hour of that afterwards and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's certainly not that interesting. And I guess it's the same with the events leading up to that. What happens for those first 44 minutes are not bad, but it shouldn't take 44 minutes to establish the characters and set up the narrative. Not that much happens, really, and they could have condensed it to 20 minutes and we would have lost nothing. So I feel like the hour that happens afterwards didn't need to be longer. So in general, I think the film should have just been shorter. It wouldn't have made it a significantly better experience, but it certainly might have been a little stronger. We do get to meet the characters, though, at the beginning, as I said, and they're believable. The family dynamic's believable. The characters are well written. The performances are good. I have no issues with any of that. And Claire is a really interesting character. So while the aftermath, after those 44 minutes, what happens after that, is varied, there's a lot of variety in what's happening, which helps to make it a little bit more engaging. And I do think a real effort was made to make it creative and to make it engaging. But again, I don't think the narrative was well handled, so all of that, for the most part, is kind of lost. But Claire is a likeable character, so I still kind of enjoyed following the story from her perspective. And in general, it wasn't horrendous. As I said at the beginning, it is watchable because of those reasons. It is very festive, though. We do have some gorgeous decorations, some beautiful costumes. There's one point where Claire is wearing, I can't remember what they were, I didn't write it down, but she's wearing these beautiful, really shiny earrings in very festive colours, and just little details like that really help to bring it to life visually, and again, that worked well. So the main issue is simply the overarching narrative and the pacing. The characters are well written, they're believable, the performances are good, visually it's stunning. As I said, I think an effort was made to try and make it as creative and engaging as possible, but because the overarching story was poorly handled, that's not enough to save the film. So it is watchable. If you're curious, check it out, let me know what you think, but it could have been so much better if they just handled the story in a much better way. So it is watchable, there are some great aspects, but the narrative itself doesn't work very well. It could have done, it's not that it couldn't work, but the first 44 minutes are not very well done, and the hour that comes after that is not necessarily unrealistic or badly done. There is a lot of variety there, but at the same time it's not very engaging. Oh What Fun is not a terrible film, but it could have been a lot better. But if you're curious, then I guess I'm happy to recommend it.